We're here in the lovely city of Hereford, and we're asking the public, if you could ask God one question, what would it be?
I think if I got to see them, I'd ask, why don't you come and show yourself to everyone so we'd all believe?
I suppose the question for most Christians, and most non-Christians actually, would be, why does God allow suffering?
I guess if God is meant to be loving, then why does he send people to hell?
Do all religions lead to God?
What are you?
How do I know the Bible's reliable?
Well, I've heard Christians say that Jesus rose from the dead, but where's the proof in that?
In this episode of But Why, we're asking the question, if God really exists, why doesn't he prove himself? Well, it's great to be here. My name is Joel.
My name is Mark.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. This is a big question.
Yeah.
If God exists, why doesn't he prove himself? If he's real, why doesn't he show himself to us?
Yeah, it's a big question. It's actually a good question.
It is a good question.
Well, I remember a few years ago, Joel, you know me well. Yeah. I speak in a lot of different contexts.
You love to talk.
I do, to be fair. It's a valid point, as people will discover,
yes,
in fact.
100%.
And this particular event was a barn dance.
Oh, I love a barn dance.
Fish and chip supper.
Yep.
Barn dance.
Barn dance.
Yeah, and then I'm speaking out. I mean, not as the dance is happening.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, afterwards.
That would be a skill.
That would be a skill that I've not got, to be quite frank. And at the end, this guy came to see me. He was so angry, like really angry.
Bracing yourself.
I was like proper bracing. He said, the problem with you Christians, you just believe without any proof. Unless I have proof, I will not believe.
Okay.
So I said to him, okay, what kind of proof would it be that you would require for you to believe? He said, I don't really know. Which I found a bit weird, if I'm honest, because he's like, well, how would you know it would prove anything if you don't know what kind of proof
is?
So we chatted about that for a little while, and he said, well, basically, Mark, unless God stands in front of me, I will not believe. I said, well, if God stood in front of you, how would you know it was him? And he said, well, he'd introduce. So I said, so let me get this right. All it would take for God to stand in front of me and go, hi, I'm God. And he said, yeah, that's all it'd take. And I said, I'm not convinced it would. So why do you say that? I said, well, look, 2,000 years ago, God turned up on this planet. He made himself very visible, literally said, hi, I'm God. Some believed and some didn't. Even his brother didn't believe. So I'm not convinced somebody standing in front of you would make you believe. I just said that to him. I said, the key thing is you've already decided there isn't a God. You need to come in with a much more open-minded approach.
I like that, the invitation to think more openly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting, actually, because I looked into a guy, Frank Turek.
Cool.
Incredible guy, and he gave this beautiful example, because obviously we talk about Jesus and we see him, written accounts about him in the Bible and elsewhere, but what about the proof of God's existence outside of the Bible, outside of Jesus? And so for me, I love what he says about the universe. And he says the universe is made up of space, time, and matter, right?
Yeah.
And so whatever came before the universe has to be spaceless, timeless, and immaterial.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got a spaceless, timeless, immaterial thing. It also has to be powerful. Whatever it was, powerful to create the universe and to create space, time, and matter. So immaterial, spaceless, timeless, powerful.
It's a list, isn't it?
It is a list. But also personal and intelligent, because impersonal forces don't make decisions and choices to create things, right? So gravity, for example, just does what it does. It doesn't decide, I'm going to be gravity today or I'm not going to be. It just does what it is. So it's got to be personal, it's got to be spaceless, it's got to be timeless, it's got to be powerful, it's got to have a level of intelligence to make those choices. And so he comes up with this little list, and you go, when you think of those things, spaceless, timeless, immaterial, powerful, and intelligent, what do you start to think about? You start to think about, well, God, a being, or at least a divine being. And at this point, we're not saying, hey, it's the Christian God of the Bible. We can't say that. We're just saying, when you look at the universe and the facts around it, you think there's got to be something that's created this and made this.
Absolutely.
And then he talks about the fine-tuning of the universe, and it's incredible. But he talks about specifically the expansion rate of the universe. And he says, if that was changed, I think it was within like 1,000 million millionth of a second at all, we would not exist.
It's mad, isn't it?
And that's not the only like crazy fact out there. And I encourage everyone to go and look into that. But it's just the fact that it seems like it's been designed in such a way for life to flourish and be sustained that it can't be chance. Like, it takes more faith to believe that it was just chance that these things have happened. I believe that anyway.
Yeah.
And then he gives the moral argument. And the moral argument is something C.S. Lewis talks about, but it's just that sense of, we all have this innate sense in us of things that are right and things that are wrong. And yes, some people might say, well, it's a cultural thing, but horrible thing to bring up. But the Holocaust, for example, that's just not a cultural thing. We haven't looked at that and thought as a culture, as a society, no, I think that's wrong. There's just this thing in us goes, that is not okay, and that was awful. We know it was wrong. And he talks about this sense of, where do we get this sense of right and wrong? If it don't come from ourselves, it's got to come from something or someone else.
Definitely.
And so you're kind of left with this spaceless, timeless, immaterial, powerful, intelligent creator who designs the universe, is moral at the same time. Who are you left with? But it seems like the God of the Bible.
No, I totally agree. There's an interesting little sentence in the Bible where it talks that God has made himself known. And basically what it means is through the creation, through morals, through all kinds of different things. So I think we've just got to come to it a little bit more open mind and say, could this be really?
And that's the question we want to ask you. Could it be possible that God exists and has made himself known to us and is inviting you right now to find out? If that's so, why not chat with some people around you, ask a Christian, ask a friend, and just start those conversations to explore this. And if you want to find out more, there's a Discover More section that's got resources, books, YouTube videos, links, articles, all that, so you can go and check that out as well. But thanks for joining us. For more discipleship content like this, visit cbneurope.com/Devo.